right. Welcome to the Earth forecast, where we're going to be forecasting the entire planet. And starting off with the North American country here, or I guess you could say continent, or not, yes, it is a continent. It's just me being stupid. But as you can see, we do have a big cool down happening here in North America, all the way from Canada down to North America. Not quite making it into Mexico just yet. But as you can see, as we push this forward, it will actually make it into northern Mexico. But very cold temperatures up in the northern plains near Montana, going into Wyoming, pushing this forward into the 28th, into the 29th. You can see it cools down even further in the nighttime, going down into the southern plains, and then going into the 30th here at about 10 a.m. Those cold temperatures start to make it even down into the southeast, and barely anybody is going to be able to miss this cold weather. Pushing this even further, you can see that there is a decent amount of cold weather down there in the southeast. Very cold temperatures up there near North and South Dakota, even some negatives up there. Up into Canada, you can see that the negatives are sticking around, and below freezing temperatures will continue to stick around up there as well. So really, almost the entire North American continent is going to be underneath the below freezing line here, and then pushing this all the way forward into the first. You can see that we even have parts of Mexico getting down into the 49s. The coastal regions will stay pretty cool. Going up into the United States, you can see that those cold temperatures, below freezing temperatures, are making it even down into the southeast. Freezing temperatures are going to be possible. Unfortunately, could be some crop damage, as there's still some crops growing down here in the southeast. Northeast looking pretty cold as well. Warming up just a tad over there in the northern plains, and then Canada still staying pretty cold here, as it looks like another shot of cold air is going to be coming around on the backside of this low pressure system, bringing 15s going into the mid-teens, maybe even into the negatives here for parts of Western Canada. Now moving on over to Alaska, you can see, bringing this all the way back, it's going to stay relatively cold as there's north. You guys are in a high pressure system, and it seems like there is some colder air circulating to your east. That's going to mainly miss you. But then as we go into the second here, about 5 days out, that those colder temperatures start to return for northern Alaska. Coming down here to Hawaii, you can see that the temperatures are going to stay pretty much consistent here, with in the 70s, colder in the upper elevations there in Hawaii. But for the most part, everything is kind of staying the same out there. No real big changes or warm-ups. Maybe a little bit of a warm-up there in the western portion of Hawaii there. Now, coming down here to South America, you can see that the temperatures are going to be, bring it on back, hot. Still hot here in South America, with 100-degree temperatures still sticking around here in northeastern South America. Cooler still along where in the Chile area. Still, it's winter down here with the 30-degree temperatures happening higher elevations you go. Still pretty warm over here, 91 degrees going down into central South America. Then pushing this forward, you can see that heat is going to stick around all the way until the 31st. And then also into the first and into the second here. That heat's really not going anywhere. All right? The Amazon forest is underneath this region, and also, we got a lot of cooler air still filtering into the southern part of South America, but for the most part, staying pretty warm up there in the northeastern portion of South America. Now moving to Africa here, you can see that we do have some pretty warm temperatures still sticking around in northern Africa. That's not really going to change until we start to get some deeper digging troughs, but there is a little bit of relief for northwestern or northeastern Africa, as there is a little bit of some cooler air filtering down into the region, but still, 90s all the way across the board, 100 degrees, 107 degrees in Western Africa. Looking at Southern Africa, though, looks like nothing's really going to change over the next couple of days. Maybe some cooler temperatures starting to warm up there in South Africa, but as of right now, the temperatures are staying pretty consistent across Africa. Now, coming up to Europe and the UK, you can see that the temperatures are Pretty cool right now. And except if you were like in the Italy area down here near the Athens, Greece region. But temperatures are pretty cool still across the region. But a little bit of a warm up is going to be coming on the 1st there for around Spain and in the Spain and the Portugal, France region as a low pressure system moves through. We'll talk about that later as we go into the rainfall across the world. But yeah, pretty cold over there. After that passes through, 42, 31 degree temperatures. And then up here, near Finland and Sweden, we've got a pretty decent cool down happening over here as well on the 2nd. And that's going to be 15 to, maybe even some negatives there south of Tromsø municipality there. I know it's hard to tell where the countries are. Radar Omega doesn't do a good job of highlighting them, but try to find some type of label on the map. You can definitely tell that that's India down there. We got China in this region. We also got Russia in this region. But bringing this back, you can see there's a big cool down coming for Russia here. With negative temperatures really spread throughout the region, with negative 16 degree temperatures, into the negative 20s across a lot of northwestern Russia. And also that cool down is going to make its way into China as well. Himalayas are staying cool. And as you can see, there's a pretty big contrast in between the Himalayas and India, as there is they got the Himalaya mountains, which keep it cooler because they're more elevated up there. But yeah, it looks like around the India region, temperatures are going to pretty much stay the same. Maybe a little bit of extra heat building in eastern India, sitting around 80 to 90 degrees across the entire country. Zooming into the Middle East here, bringing this back, you can see that temperatures are also going to stay pretty consistent. A little bit of a cool down happening at around 7 p.m. on the 29th there, pushing this forward a little bit more. Yeah, still staying pretty hot down there in the Yemen, Saudi Arabia region. Up there in Iran, going into Israel region. You can also see that a little bit of a heat up is happening there as well, with potentially up to 80, 90 degree temperatures across those regions, and then pushing this all the way through to the final 5 days. A little bit of a cool down as we go into the 2nd at around 1 p.m. with 60s and 70s overspread the region there. Now coming back down to the islands out here and Australia. You can see that the temperatures are going to be pretty hot down there in Australia. Summer is starting to get ramped up here with 101 degrees possible on the 28th, and 70s and 80s widespread around that, getting cooler as you get down to the coast there near Melbourne and around the islands here. You can see not a lot is going to change. Really the main difference is where the humidity is going to be in this area. If you have higher humidity, it's going to feel hotter, even though the temperatures aren't going to change too much as we go throughout the 5-day period here. But you can see that 100 degree temperatures are going to be possible widespread around here into the Philippines. 80 degree temperatures, 70 degree temperatures as we go into the morning hours of the 3rd of November there. And now coming back up here to Japan, looks like it's going to stay relatively cool, not really seeing too much of a difference. Maybe a warm up going into the 2nd and 1st, but that's a little far out. But yeah, staying pretty much the same, 50s and 40s overspread most of Japan, and the same is going to be for North and South Korea. As you can see, there is pretty much a cool down and maybe a little bit of a warm up there for South Korea going into the 2nd and into the 3rd of November, with 60 degrees temperatures overspreading that region. All right, now looking at the storms, starting off with North America, you can see that there is a decent amount of rain happening down here into the Oklahoma region, Arkansas, and Texas. Still a flood risk with this, so make sure you're watching out for that. Also some snow falling in the Denver region. Going to be a big issue over there as that cold air pushes through. It's going to collide with that warm air and just kind of have this little belt of rain that's going to spread all the way from the southern plains up to the northeast. Potentially some snow, lake effect snow is also possible. We'll be going over that in a little bit bit here, but yeah, lots of rain, and then that's eventually going to clear out as that drier air filters in, and then it's going to be pretty clear across the country of the United States, also going down into Mexico and into Canada. Pretty clear, you know, about on the first 4 p.m. really not seeing much precipitation across most of North America. You know, even going up into Alaska, it's also dry, and then down into the Hawaii region, it is also dry as well. Coming down here to the islands and the Caribbean, some rain is still going to be happening, but it shouldn't be, you know, anything that you guys can't handle down there. Just spotty rain. It's going to be picking up. Going to be watching the tropics down here north of San Jose, but so far nothing's really forming on the models that is concerning me with that. So there's North America. Coming down to South America, you can see that there is a little bit of a storm over here near Porto Alegre. Sorry, I'm really horrible at Spanish, so I apologize, or in Brazilian, but yeah, so definitely a lot of heavy rain down here, and let's go check a little bit more on this, because I do want to figure out. Yeah, there's a decent amount of cape there. Maybe some severe thunderstorms could be possible. There, it looks like the shear is pretty minimal, though, in the area where the convection is, but there's a decent amount of upper level shear there. So maybe a small, tiny tornado threat, but it does seem like it's going to be pretty clustered there. So, and if you do get any of those isolated supercells, watch out for, you know, a severe weather threat of hail, damaging winds. But yeah, looks like right along the mountains here in Chile, going to see some rain, but that's going to clear out as that low pressure system moves out. And it does seem like it's going to be a little bit of a pattern here south of Rio de Janeiro, where that rain is going to continue to set up and convect, and then that should clear out by the second. But then we got another little wave coming in after that by the third. So rainy down there, northern South America. You're going to continue to get those spotty showers just pop up as those little outflow boundaries form and convect over there. And it looks like the heaviest convection is going to be on the northeastern part of South America. Coming over to Africa, you can see that there is some rain over there in the central eastern portion of Africa. That's going to move across Africa. And it looks like, over here in the western central Africa, there's going to be some rain over there as well. Maybe some storms. Let's kind of check that out, see if we're talking about any severe weather. A little bit of upper level winds. Lower level winds, not so much. Not really a tornado threat down there, but there's plenty of instability. So I wouldn't be surprised if there were some damaging winds with those storms. Probably not too much hail with those. And also down here near South Africa, you can see that there is some rain scraping the coast there near Johannesburg and Durban, really from the 29th all the way through the 1st there. Also Madagascar getting in on some of that rain as well, with some, bubbly convection, mainly, those summertime type storms down there that we are familiar with in the United States. Now moving up to Europe, you can see we do have a pretty big storm that's making its way through right now with some rain. Let's kind of check the data on this. Really decent upper level winds, really decent lower level winds. What is our cape looking like, though? Yeah, not too crazy in terms of the instability out here in Europe going into France. So, severe weather is probably going to be possible with this, with damaging winds, maybe a little bit of hail, but that tornado threat should stay pretty low. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little spin up off the coast. Maybe some water spouts going to be possible there in northern Spain going into France as that storm. Let's go ahead and push this all the way out here. Then we got another storm coming in on the backside that's going to bring some rain and some storms again, and then another one behind that one. Now this is looking a little bit more robust here, going into France, Spain, Portugal, and maybe even into the southern UK there. Let's kind of check. Oh man, yeah, definitely some big lower level winds, big upper level winds as well. Not a whole lot of instability though, so definitely gonna have a chance maybe for some of those storms to bring some damaging winds a little bit far out. The GFS is what's the word? Famous for underplaying the Cape, but it shouldn't be too intense. But yeah, make sure you definitely keep an eye on this storm. It's definitely going to bring some heavy winds into the region, with potential for some severe weather there as well, going into France and the Bay of Biscay there. All right, now moving over to the Middle East and like the Poland region. If we can push this forward, you can see starting off, there is a little low pressure system there south of Moscow. It's going to move off to the east, and then those storms are going to eventually, or those upper level lows are going to eventually make it in to the Warsaw, Kyiv area. Might bring some rain, potentially some snow on the backside as it moves off to the east. So keep that in mind in your plans. That's going to be happening really from the 30th on to the 1st there. And then that secondary wave of energy is kind of too far out in the forecast to really say too much with this storm going into like the Greece and Turkey region here. But definitely want to watch that for rain, heavy rain, maybe some more windier conditions there. Also looking at the southeast, not a whole lot of rain, but there is a little bit of convection there for Saudi Arabia and the northwestern portion of it, but then that starts to clear out, and not really seeing too much of an issue there for rain there. Moving over to the east a little bit, down into the China and India regions here. Not a whole lot of rain because you got that big push of cold air that's going to be coming in, at least for the China region. That's going to really dry things out. Noticing a little spin up here. This could be possible problem. That's way off in the future though. But yeah, maybe in like the short term here, a little system could be developing out into the Pacific that we'll have to watch in the future, but that's too far out to have any confidence about. But yeah, it's going to remain mostly dry, getting wetter at the further south you go into the China region, going into the island regions. You guys are going to basically have your very typical little pop-up storms that happen throughout the day. So nothing that you guys aren't prepared to deal with. It doesn't look like there's too much tropical activity in the short term there for you guys. Also going up into Japan, a little bit of rain for the rest of the day there in northern Japan, central Japan. Then another little wave comes off of China and then makes it into northern Japan as well, bringing some extra rain there. Kind of want to look at this storm. Kind of looks like a little bit of a shortwave trough. Yeah, got some lower level winds with that. Also some decent upper level winds as well. What's the Cape looking like? And some decent Cape. Might potentially have a little bit of a severe weather setup here for parts of Japan. So might want to watch out for that if you live in central to northern Japan there. But yeah, that's what the rain is looking like. Now we're going to go and look at the total precipitation across the entire globe and just kind of point out the regions that are going to be either in a deficit or in a plus over the next 5 days for precipitation. So yeah, looking at North America, looks like the main area of maybe some drought relief is going to be over here near Arkansas, going into Tennessee, Kentucky, and southern Illinois there. And then also over here in the Pacific Northwest, going to get some decent amount of rain, 2 to 3 inches is going to be possible there as well. Looks like Alaska, Canada, for the most part, are going to stay dry, going down into Mexico as you get down to Guatemala City and Managua and Panama. Looks like you guys are going to be getting a decent amount of rain right off the coast, but a little bit of that is going to make it onto the coast there near San Salvador, so make sure you're watching out for that. Could cause some flooding. Coming down to South America, seems like the main area where we're going to be seeing the most rain is where we saw those storms setting up and trading over the same areas. Potentially up to 6, 7, 8, maybe 10 inches. Some isolated spots of up to a foot of rain are going to be possible there. And then along the Chile Mountains, pretty typical to get a decent amount of rain over there as well. And then coming on over to Africa, looks like the only areas where that are going to get rain is in Central Africa, with spotty areas of 0.5 inches to 3 inches over here in Central Africa. Then as you go a little bit more to the west, we're gonna have 3 to 5, maybe some isolated spots of like 8 to 9 inches there near Libreville and or Libreville and Douala. Also, some 3 to up to 3 inches possible there near Johannesburg and Durban. And then coming up here to Europe, you can see it's really hard to tell where everything is because again, Radar Omega does not. Actually, one thing we can do here. Let me do this really quick. Let's turn down the data opacity just so we could see it a little bit better. There we go. Yeah, so looking at like the Portugal, Spain region, a lot of rain actually over here near Porto Braga, Orense, Lugo, and Carballo there also. So that's probably going to be around 6 to 7 inches there. Also 3 to 4 inches are possible for parts of the UK. Also up here in the northeastern part of the UK, a decent amount there of rain of up to 3 to 5 inches there near Aberdeen, and then spotty areas here, but some of them could cause some problems. Going into the rest of Europe here, north of Italy, could see some increased rain over the next 5 days as that continues to build up. Also, moving into the Russia region, it does seem like just south of St. Petersburg could see 1 to 2 inches of rain there as well. Going into India and China, dry as expected. Not exactly sure what country this is, but if you recognize these cities, make sure you're watching out for this little belt of rain that could set up, potentially dropping anywhere between 3 to 6 inches there. Coming down to the islands, near Vietnam and the island regions, we can see that there's a decent amount of rain, 3 to 4 inches for a lot of these different areas. Also into the Philippines, could be getting a decent amount of rain there. Right here on the coast, near Da Nang and north of Da Nang, could potentially get anywhere from 3 to 6, maybe even getting up into an isolated spot of a foot there. Staying pretty dry over here in Japan, and also staying really dry there in Australia, and then coming over here to New Zealand. I got some. Looks like the main area of precipitation is going to be in northern New Zealand, around Kerikeri, south of there as well, up to 3 to 5 inches. Then right here on the very tip near Ratoria, there with potentially 2 to 4 inches of rain there as well. So that's it for the rainfall. Last but not least, we're going to look at the snow, total snow across the globe here. And looking at the United States, you can see there's a decent amount of snow going to be happening for Denver today, so watch out for that. And then that could even spread all the way down into New Mexico. Some spotty areas of snow are going to be possible over here in Kansas, Nebraska today, going into tomorrow, and then also south of Sioux Falls into Iowa. Potentially could even see 1 to 2, maybe even 3 inches of snow there. Lake effect snow is going to be an issue over here in the Great Lakes region for northern Wisconsin, going into the peninsula there. Also on the eastern side, or western side of Michigan, could potentially even see up to 4 to 5 inches of snow there. Also going off into the coast on the Great Lakes there of Lake Erie for Ohio, Pennsylvania, going into New York, into the northeast, could see potentially spotty 1 to 2 inches down here, going into New York, maybe even getting up into the 5 to 6 inches regions, isolated spots there for the New York border there on Lake Erie. Then going up into the northeast, could potentially see up to 6 inches of snow up there. So make sure you watch out for that as it comes through. Won't cause too much issues. You guys are pretty used to that, but it will be nice for a lot of people that haven't had snow in a while. Also, seeing some areas of some decent snow off here at the Hudson Bay. Looks like it's going to be a little bit of a lake effect snow for western or eastern Canada here. Spotty around Canada. North of Winnipeg, though, could see a decent amount of lake effect snow there as well, with 1, maybe even 2 feet of snow possible there. Looks like over here, maybe 1 to 2 feet over here near Vancouver. And then also northwestern Canada is going to see some spotty areas of up to of up to, 2 to 6, 7 inches of snow there. Greenland's going to get some snow. Also, the mountains of Chile are going to be getting a decent amount of snow, looking like anywhere from 1 to 3 feet on the mountains of Chile. Africa's not getting any snow. It doesn't seem like. Maybe something down here near Newcastle. Not sure how much I believe that, but hey, you see some flakes. You heard it from here first. Also, in the mountainous regions north of Italy, could see 1 to 3 feet of snow north of Milan. Also, in the more mountainous regions of Spain, south of Oviedo and Girona, could see anywhere from 2 inches up to a foot the higher in elevation you go. Also over here near Bergen and Oslo, potentially 1 to 3 feet the higher you go up into the elevations there. Iceland also receiving some snow, mainly on the eastern side of Iceland there, and a big band here of snow stretching all the way into Russia here, with little areas of 1 to 2 feet possible higher you go in the elevation just to the east of St. Petersburg, and then 6 to 8 inches maybe getting up into the foot range near Perm, and then as you go into the big mountainous regions over here near Banal and Abakan, potentially 1 to 3 feet there as well. Australia is not getting any snow, unfortunately, as I don't think you guys usually get snow, but over here in near Andier, getting a decent amount of snow in the mountains there, and also not too much snow there for Alaska. You'd expect to see more at this time of the year, but still not seeing a big snowfall amount yet here. But northern Alaska could potentially get 1 to 6 inches there in the northern portions there. But that's it for the snowfall, and also that is it for the forecast. So thank you for tuning in. Hopefully this was helpful, and I will see you guys on the next one.